Banks don't hate boutique hotels, they hate risk. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact framework and the bank package that gets a lender to see you and your hotel deal as less risky and then give you the money. And this might be an unsexy topic, but it's one of the highest leverage things that you have at your disposal to get your loan closed. If you have a ton of money and you can close $1 million+ deals in all cash, then you don't need this. But if you need lending to scale, like most real estate investors, myself included, then you do need this. This is coming to you from my new home office. We just moved homes and bought a new house. I'm still getting everything sorted, so I got a little bit of an echo, and things aren't exactly like my lighting setup, but we'll get there. All right. Give me some grace with this one. So this getting banks to say yes thing, this isn't something that I'm guessing at or giving lip service to, because I've bought and managed 8 boutique hotels across 4 states, and I've worked with dozens of commercial lenders for my hotel deals. And I've gone through the whole process with banks 4 times where they pulled the carpet out from under me at the last stage, but still got those deals closed. And I've done successful deals with 5 or 6 commercial lenders, but I've also worked with 30+ other loan closings with our hotel launch members where the first lender doesn't always work out. And I've built a framework to present you and your deal in the best light to get the buy-in from the lenders so they take it through the approval and actually get your loan done. So that's what I'll show you today, because this can be one of the hardest parts of the whole process. Like, whoever said buying boutique hotels was easy, right? But it's worth it for the rewards that you receive when you get the deal closed and you fix it up and you run it profitably. And just to highlight both sides of this, I bought Tremont Lodge. It's 130 keys and a wedding and event venue in the Tennessee Smokies in December of 2023. So we went through 50+ banks to finally get our loan, and 2 of them fell out on me on this deal alone. It was the 3rd lender who finally got the deal done, and since buying it, we put $3.3 million into the renovations that finished last summer, July 2025, and we'll do double the revenue this year compared to when we bought it, with 70% direct bookings. And the bank didn't fund that because I asked nicely, right? They funded it because the story and the numbers were de-risked for them, and it all made sense for the deal perspective. And you have to realize that the bank is looking through the lens of risk mitigation when they look at your package. So here's that lens that every bank looks through, whether they tell you directly or not. They're going to look at the property, the sponsor, and the business plan / financials. And if your package answers those 3 things, you're going to stand a much better chance to get your loan approved, get your deal closed, and get that goal of getting the boutique hotel. And the property is pretty simple, right? Show me the real trailing numbers, the physical condition, and what the CapEx is required to get it where you want it to go. So what the property is doing now, and on top of where it's located and how it's positioned in that market. So basically, what's the situation there? Now, banks generally don't like 2 things here. They don't like hospitality assets, so we're already running uphill, and they don't like value add deals where the current income doesn't cover the new debt after purchase. So both of those mean higher risk to the bank. And here's where people get killed. They hand a lender a pro forma and a prayer, right? They don't show a clear capital expenditure or a CapEx plan to get the property where it can go and how they're going to do it. So it's not just lipstick on a pig like you have with, flips or long-term rentals or anything like that. But if you're buying a pig, you have to show them how it's going to be the 4-H winning pig. Like, you get me? Because lenders aren't creative, and you got to show them how you're going to get it there. Now, the sponsor piece matters a lot, but maybe not in the way you think. Like, banks don't care about your Instagram or your followers or even how much personal cash you have. They care about your experience and if you can operate the business that you're buying, because boutique hotels are a business. So you need a 1-page that shows your relevant experience, because it's easy for a bank to lend to someone buying their 10th hotel deal, right? Because they already know everything as the buyer. So think about how you can depict your experience in a way that tells that story. So maybe you've done a portfolio of short-term rentals, or maybe you've worked in hotels throughout your career in the past. So I think because of that, that's why short-term rentals who are buying that first smaller, like 10 to 20 unit place that already have 5 to 10 or more short-term rentals have the easiest route, because maybe they don't have direct hotel ownership and experience yet, but they can paint a picture that's pretty dang close of what they've done or what they're doing to what they're trying to do with this new purchase. And then on the sponsor is also part of your team. So leverage the credibility of others to show the experience level that the bank would be comfortable to lend to. So this is a big perk for our hotel launch members, because they can put me in their packages and show that they have people on their team with the track record and the experience to pull off what they're trying to do. So however you can, leverage the team, right? It can be your mentors, your advisors, or your partners on the deal. And then it's your track record executing a business plan, right? So for example, at Tremont, we had to solve this occupancy problem with 130 keys. So we built a demand engine through our brand, our organic content, our paid ads for leisure travel, along with the group sales and the weddings that almost doubled our revenue since we bought it. So that's operational credibility because we can prove that we've done that. It became much easier to fund LJ Resort, one of ours in Blue Ridge. Granted, the government did shut down last year when I was trying to buy with the SBA loan, and then my banker there got fired. So those two things didn't help in my favor, but banks will ask for your business plan, right? And what you're going to do with it. And you need to have it together and use examples from what you've done successfully and how that will apply to your new purchase. Because most buyers never show banks how they'll create demand. Now, to help you with that, it takes us to the plan is where loans get approved or they die. So you have to show the 12-month ramp. So what changes, when it changes, and how you get there. Like for us to go from 30% occupancy at Tremont when we bought it to hit the 60% occupancy target. So weddings and events book big blocks of rooms, which is why we scaled the events the way we did. Then we can fill in with leisure travel. So that all shows an occupancy ramp up plan to get us where we're going to go. Now I'm going to show you the 2 slides that get a yes thinking about this ramp up plan. All right, guys, now to paint a good picture to the lender, you have to show them a clean sources and uses. It's the sources of the cash that are going into the project and how that breaks out in debt and equity. That's your sources and uses. So that's what you see right here. So that makes up your total, your purchase price, your capital expenditures, plus your FF&E, your furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The hotel space, that's your furnishings, that's your decor. That's all the things that you put in the rooms, that's your outdoor amenities, all that kind of stuff. Your closing costs and reserves. So that's how this is broken out. So you've got these columns, your closing costs, reserves, and fees. It could be your third-party reports, lender fees, anything like that. Your CapEx, this is the money going into the project, how much you're spending on physical improvements. Then FF&E, including your design costs of what goes into it. So that's how you paint the picture of what you're going to do with the cash that the bank is giving you, a mix of that and your equity that you're bringing to the deal. So the bank's giving you $5 million, you're bringing $1.8 million. In this case, that's what you're going to need to be able to package to them and explain to them. Now, after that, you're going to show them your monthly pro forma, which in it has the ramp plan, meaning from month 1, 2, 3, all the way to 12, how your project is going to spread out the income and the expenses, right? Because if you're buying it in essentially month 0 and you're renovating months 1, 2, and 3, you might not have income till month 4. And then you're not going to have the same income in month 4 as you do in month 12. So from 4 to 12, you're going to ramp up, you're going to increase occupancy, you're going to increase your ADR because more guests are going to know about you, you're going to get more reviews, your reputation will build, the momentum will build, guests will come back in that amount of time. So that is your ramp up plan. And it starts with your income and your expenses, your income projections of how you're going to get there in the first place, right? Because these are your target ADRs and your target occupancy, and it takes time to get there. And that's what your pro forma monthly shows, right? You've got your number of down units, you've got your stabilization factor, you've got your ADR growth and your income and expense calculator. So these are the things. And as you add revenue streams, it'll be per revenue stream. So the bank is going to look at this and say, how realistic are your numbers? What's your path to get to the point that you think this property can do? And you need to be able to explain that and talk to it and show the math behind it. And you have to put all this together in a written business plan to clearly show the bank that you know what you're doing and you have a great plan to go forward with the property, which lowers their risk of lending to you and makes them more likely to approve the loan. Now, let me also show you the 5 things that kill bank loans the most often so you don't waste 60 days chasing a dead end or get to the spot with the bank before it's too late. So 1 is having no CapEx story or just CapEx that's too low to pull off what you're trying to do. So you need to show what you're putting into the property and how it gets you to your comp set of where you can achieve those ADRs. And then 2 is fantasy underwriting. So it's like using your peak season numbers the whole year or expenses that are too low. And 3 is having no operating plan. So like, who runs your housekeeping? What happens with maintenance? How do you achieve the revenue? And what do your operating expenses look like to pull that off? Because one of the most common mistakes I see is operating projections or operating costs that are too low, especially from short-term rental investors scaling up, because this is the first time they've had to factor in labor costs. So a lot of times I see that labor costs missed. So number 4 is no marketing budget that you need to create your demand engine, especially if you have more rooms at at the hotel because it takes a marketing budget to fill rooms. You can't just put it out on Airbnb like you will with short-term rentals and expect guests to come. So you need to budget in marketing. And then the fifth is weak liquidity or no reserve. So banks want cushion, and you yourself as the owner, as the operator, should want some cushion too, and to go in, be safe, know you can get through a down season, to know you have cash in the bank so that whatever happens, you're good. So that's good for you and it's good for the bank. So a lot of times that means you have to raise more money to get there, but factor that into your underwriting so it goes into your returns, and then you don't have to go do a capital call and ask your investors for more money or have to contribute yourself. So here's how we told the bank story on Blue Ridge. So for LJ Resort, this is a 15 key, 7.5 acres, beautiful mountain views. We bought it for $3.5 million. Now we have a $2 million renovation that's going to add amenities, increase the design, improve the interior, all to push us towards a $400+ ADR at 55 to 60% occupancy with 80% direct bookings because of direct ads and our influencers. And then for weddings and events, we'll have 20 booked in year one, and we'll have F&B revenue of about $150,000 in the first year. Now, all this is based on the comps of other hotels and resorts within driving distance. So we pull guests from the same feeder markets and we have the same general appeal. So we looked at what they were charging to justify what we could charge based on our differentiation, right? We want to build a moat around what we're offering, but we can take cues from what other people are charging and say, all right, here's our baseline for this market in this area. And if we do these things, we can generate X. And that's what you're explaining to the bank. Now, getting the bank to say yes might be the hardest part of this whole process for y'all. Maybe after finding the deal itself. And I see more deals get stressed out at the point of funding than any other. One, because it's hard for a first-time buyer to show the experience needed to buy a hotel, but more so because a first-time buyer doesn't know what the bank is looking for and what to show them. Now remember, the bank is trying to lower risk as much as possible, right? If you can satisfy that for them and show them that you're a safe bet and you've got a good, fully thought out deal, you have a much more successful track on getting your deal across the finish line. If you guys want my bank package checklist, my underwriting templates, and want to see us go through your first deal live, you can join our June 12th through 14th Buy a Boutique Hotel workshop that I'm hosting at Tremont Lodge. So we had such an awesome time doing this in March with people from all across the country looking to get their first hotel deal. So we decided to do it again coming up in June. And we'd love to see you in person, be able to host you at my boutique hotel so you can see this strategy working in person and walk through the step-by-step of how to get your first deal. And that link is below. In the next episode, I'll show you the 12 red flags that kill most hotel deals so you know what potholes to avoid and get more deals closed. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.